Students soon discover that having doubled up on itself through its conflation with ethnography, anthropology has become an interrogation of its own ways of working. Now, the truth is that as educators based in university departments, most anthropologists devote much of their lives to working with students. They probably spend considerably more time in the classroom than in anywhere they might call the field. And some enjoy this more than others. But they do not, by and large, regard time in the classroom as an integral part of their anthropological practice. Students are told that anthropology is what we do with our colleagues and with other people in other places, but not with them. Locked out of the powerhouse of anthropological knowledge construction, all they can do is peer in through the windows that our texts and teachings offer them. It took the best part of a century, of course, for the people once known as natives and latterly as informants to be admitted to the big anthropology house as master collaborators, that is, as people we work with. And it's now usual for their contributions to any anthropological study to be fulsomely acknowledged. Yet students remain excluded, and the inspiration and ideas that follow from our dialogues with them unrecognized. And I believe this is a scandal, one of the pernicious consequences of the institutionalized division between research and teaching that has so blighted the practice of scholarship. For indeed, the epistemology that constructs the student as a mere recipient of anthropological knowledge produced elsewhere is the very same as that which constructs the native as an informant, and it is no more defensible. Anthropology is not ethnography. Ethnographers describe, principally in writing, how the people of some place and time perceive the world and how they act in it. In our dreams, we might once have supposed that by adding up, comparing and contrasting the ways that people of all places and times perceive and act, we might be able to extract some common denominators, possible candidates for human universals. Any such universals, however, are abstractions of our own, and as Whitehead was the first to point out, it is a fallacy to imagine that they are concretely instantiated in the world as a substrate for human variation. So with its dream of generalization shattered, where should anthropology go? Should it continue to accumulate disparate but thematically oriented ethnographic case studies between the covers of edited volumes in the hopes that some kinds of generalization might still fall out? Should it abandon anthropology for the works of philosophers who have never mustered the energy or the conviction to leave their armchairs? Or should it, on the other hand, join with the literary critics in their own largely incomprehensible ruminations on the ethnographic project? Anthropology has tried all these things, yet every direction leads off at a tangent from the world we inhabit. It's no wonder, then, that anthropologists are left feeling isolated and marginalized, and that they are routinely passed by in public discussions of the great questions of social life. I've argued for an anthropology that would return to these questions, not in the armchair, but in the world. We can be our own philosophers, but we can do it better, thanks to its embedding in our observational engagements with the world and in our collaborations with its inhabitants. And that philosophy of ours we shall call anthropology. We do anthropology in the world, not just in the field or, for that matter, in the armchair. For wherever we go, that stranger, whom I introduced earlier, is always at our heels, forcing us all the while, like a small child, to ask awkward but elementary questions. We don't have to journey to some other place to meet him, for the childlike stranger is our own inquisitiveness. He is ever present, at home, as we walk around doing everyday things, as we observe the comings and goings of people around us, and of course in our conversations with friends, colleagues and students. So perhaps I could end on a lighter note with one of the great classics of children's literature, the wonderfully anarchic Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss. In the book, the narrator's impish alter ego, called Sam I Am, pesters him until he eventually agrees to sample a dish of green eggs with ham. And in the epiphany that follows, I have substituted anthropology for ham and eggs, while the part of the imp here is played by the character known in his student days as Radcliffe-Brown. So, here we go. Radcliffe-Brown. I like anthropology. I do. I like it, Radcliffe-Brown. And I would do it in a boat. And I would do it with a goat. And I would do it in the rain. and in the dark, and on the train, and in a car, and in a tree. It is so good, you see. So I will do it in a box, and I will do it with a fox, and I will do it in a house, and I will do it with a mouse, and I will do it here and there, and I will do it anywhere. I do so like anthropology. Thank you. Right just there.
Well, there are so many challenges thrown up by that talk, and of course we ought to have a seminar, I suppose, but that would mean retiring to seats, perhaps not armchairs. But what we have instead is a reception at which you can, as it were, plunder Tim with questions, of which there are so many. So let's proceed to that, since time is on the way. And I just want to give a vote of thanks first to the British Academy and to Robin Jackson, Chief Executive and Secretary of the British Academy, and of course, above all, to our 17th Radcliffe-Brown lecturer in social anthropology, Professor Tim Ingold.